Welcome, everybody. We are back for another fun episode of Indie Reads Loud. Why is it fun? Well, because you get to hear a little bit from the books that the authors have written and read for you. And maybe through that little bit of preview, you'll want to go out and buy the book. We hope anyway, because our mission is to build libraries in the universe. Today, Nevah Ann is with me in studio, and she's going to be reading from her book, When All Else Fears, which I got to tell you, Nevah, is a really cool title.
Thank you.
Welcome again to the program. I know you've been here before.
Mhm.
We've done this insanity before, and you were so great at it. I'm so glad you're back.
I'm happy to be back.
Awesome. So before we get started, so that I don't forget, we need to let everybody out in listener land know there is a listener advisory for today's book. It does have violence and mentions of blood and death. So if you have little ears listening in on the program today, you might want to preview this episode before you let the little ones listen. Okay, onward. So I was reminded today while reading your show notes that you have a degree in mental health, which I find fascinating because you're also an author. And today I was having another conversation with another author, and we joked about the fact that I feel often slightly schizophrenic because I write in multiple genres. So, how have you found that your mental health background helps you to shape your characters?
Well, most of my characters have some form of trauma. Some of them have a little bit of trauma, and some of them have a lot of trauma. And so, my background in mental health has helped with that because like I like trauma. I mean, I don't personally like trauma on other people, but I like the aspect of trauma and what it does to the people, what it does to the mind, and how your body reacts to it. And so I use that a lot. I use a
I would
lot of
imagine
my
it's really helpful when you create coping mechanisms, which then build on story, right?
Yes, yep. I have a couple of characters who have certain coping mechanisms, and you see how that progresses throughout their story arc, and how their mechanisms change, or how some of them go from having none to having some. And so I use it a lot to kind of shape the character and their arc and how they develop.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Tell me a little bit about When All Else Fears. I'm guessing this is a standalone novel?
This is actually a novella. Um,
Ooh, very
so
cool.
the second part is When Fear Comes. And
Okay.
that will be a full length novel, or it should be a full length novel. I started this character. His name is Kyler. He shows up in one of the novels that I'm working on now as a minor character, but he is a very persistent, in your face, kind of feels like he needs to have the center of attention. And so his story showed up before I could finish that novel. Um,
Yeah,
and
because he
so
was just that persistent.
he was very persistent.
Yeah.
He is a prince in hell, um, and he is a fear demon. So a fear demon is one of the higher ranks of demon who feed off of people's fear. Um, and so he has to defy his father, who is the king, to go save his baby sister from creatures that are scarier than he is. And
Okay,
his
that's saying a lot.
Yep. And so he, like I said, he's a very persistent. He kind of knows where he's at in his life. He's very confident in himself. And so this book was not supposed to be written. I had no intentions of writing his story, and in the process of writing when all my novel, he decided that he was just going to take over, and I veered into some backstory, and then I peeled that off of the main story to make the novella. Um,
Isn't it amazing how those characters when they get like that, they just kind of stand up and they get in the way of everything else you want to do.
yes, very much so.
How annoying.
I know,
I like imaginary 2-year-olds running around screaming at you for attention.
right?
Fantastic. Okay, I am really curious to hear about this because, like I said, I just love the title. I think When All Else Fears is it's a lovely play on words, and I really, really love it. And for those of you who maybe have not seen it yet, jump over to the show notes and take a look at the cover. It is super spectacular. It's very cool. So take a look at that in the show notes. All right, Nevah Ann, when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
All right, we're going to just start at chapter 1. I feel like it's a good place to begin.
Yeah, the beginning's always a good place to start. I think there was a Julie Andrews song about that.
I
Maybe.
think so, yeah.
Yeah. All
That's right.
righty. I am hooking my legs up under me on the carpet and I'm gonna listen to you read.
All right. Since the moment I was born, there was fear. It flooded my home during the day. It crept into my bed at night. It surrounded my family. It consumed me, and I loved it. Tyler, a knock sounds on my bedroom door. It's time to wake. Erica's voice calls through the oak door. I roll over and yank the satin sheets up to cover my head. The hinges squeak as the door opens. The king and queen are waiting in the dining hall. The soft steps of her slippers patter against the rug. A moment later, she pulls my barrier away. I squeeze my eyes shut against the lights. I'll get your clothes ready. She drops the sheet on the floor as her footsteps move further into the room. The wardrobe creaks open. It's too early. I arch my back and stretch my legs out. It's almost 9, she reports. I open my eyes and look at my attendant. Erica is one of the younger servants at the palace. She looks like a college student instead of the 100-something woman I know she is, probably because she died in her 20s. Today, her brown hair is pulled up into a tight bun. Her deep blue uniform vest is pressed to perfection, not a seam out of place. The long matching skirt is smoothed down to her knees. That's too early. I sit up. If grandfather sent her, she won't leave until I'm dressed and following her out. Too long a delay, and he'd likely whip her for her tardiness as punishment for us both. Then perhaps you should get to bed earlier. She returns to my bedside with a neat stack of clothes that she sets on my nightstand. I was in bed by 9, I smile at her, which is half an hour before my bedtime. But then you were out of bed at 10. She taps the clothes and turns to tidy up the books laying on my dresser. I get up and begin to undress. You don't know that. I saw Alex let you into the garden. You really shouldn't be spying. I pull on the clothes she set out and start buttoning up my shirt. Well, someone needs to keep you out of trouble. Erica turns and walks over. Kneeling, she nudges my hand aside and undoes my shirt to redo the buttons. Isn't that my guard's job? I watch her work. Erica's one of the few staff I view as a friend. I know she only wants I know she only wants to assure that I'm safe. If you stayed with them, perhaps. She finishes her task, then tucks in the hem, fussing to be sure every detail is perfect. I'm 7, Erica. I can dress myself. You should look your best. The king is making a big announcement today. She glances at me, concern in her eyes, and he's in a foul mood. I nod. It's never a good thing when grandfather is in one of his moods. Those days almost always end with someone being tortured or executed. I walk over to the mirror to inspect my appearance. My brown hair is tousled from sleep. Red bleeds into the corners of my green eyes as my true self lurks near the surface. I smile and catch the flash of my fangs in the reflection. Behind me, Erica tenses. The rich smell of her fear fills the room like a sweet rush of sugar. It's intoxicating. The reaction is natural around my species. Once I notice once I notice her working one, I notice her working to fight. She clenches the corner of her skirt. She must know I won't harm her, but the same can't be said for the rest of my kind. The scent of her fear draws my true form closer. The redness weaves like spider webs further into the green of my eyes until it nearly takes over. Sir, Erica's voice is strong despite her fear. Let's not keep the king waiting. I take a slow breath and face off against the demon inside. You will not take over, I command. I am in control. I take another breath, then turn away from my reflection and walk past her. Unlike most, she doesn't flinch. If only she knew how much I wanted to indulge in her fear. She has more trust in my control than I do. Perhaps it's because of my youth, or because she thinks her employment here will protect her. If she knew how badly I wanted to satisfy this craving, how hard it is for me to keep my other self at bay when all it can when all it can smell is the pull of something so translucent. Then she might cower as everyone else does. It is a risk for her to be so trusting, but I hope she never changes. The king is sitting in the head of the table when I enter the spacious dining hall. His back is straight, making the deep blue button-down shirt form tight against his black leather skin. He is wearing one of the more detailed crowns, which sits around the two sharpened horns on his head. Beside him on his left is the queen, who is wearing a deep blue dress that shows little of her armored red scales under it. To grandfather's right are my parents, Prince Taryn and Princess Roxy. My father is in similar clothing as his father, which also shows his true form. Mother says she looks like my grandfather when he was his age. My mother is in her weaker form, like me, her smooth human skin pale against the red dress she's wearing. She has a cloth slung around her chest, and I see the edge of my baby sister's tiny pink foot from inside. They all turn when I enter. I bow to grandfather. Sorry to keep you waiting. Sit, boy, the king snaps. I rush to obey, hustling to the chair beside my mother. She pats my leg and smiles. I'm not there more than a second before the servants in deep blue uniforms are hurrying in with plates and setting them in front of us. They bow and hurry out. Alex sets mine down. Tufts of brown hair fall into his eyes. I grin at him. Thank you. He flinches, but before he can respond, the king growls. How many times do I need to tell you? You are above them. You don't thank them. I turn to my grandfather. But I'm not hurting anyone by doing so. You are giving them false hope. His eyes narrow, making them believe they have power that they don't have. By thanking them? By putting yourself at their level. He addresses my parents. I thought you said he was ahead in his studies. Why doesn't he know this already? He does. My father scowls at me. He forgets his place. We'll revisit that lesson this morning. I don't need to revisit anything, I argue. I hurt no one by thanking them. I agree, my mother says. It is only common courtesy. The king's eyes darken. We are above that. I open my mouth to argue more, but Father glares stops me. I don't want to keep fighting with my family. For now, I just need to drop it. Even if I still don't understand why thanking my servant for bringing me a plate of food is bad. I've had lessons on how they're below us, but that doesn't mean we can't be polite still. Mother says they are people too, and we should treat them as such. It's not like I'm inviting him to join us to eat or asking him to play with me. I don't see what the big issue is. I lower my head and admit defeat, for now. A moment later, I hear grandfather's fork against his plate as he begins to eat. Beside me, grandmother picks up hers. I count to 5 in my head before starting into my own meal. We eat in silence. I sneak a peek towards my mom. Now, the foot dangling from the wrap is scarlet red with tiny claws. Mom looks up at me and smiles. The tension in my body releases, and I smile back. I am a lot like her, more than grandfather wants me to be. Though my father stayed within our species when he married, he picked the lowest rank he could find. At least that's what grandfather claims. But I don't see it. I love my mother, her kind smile, her gentle words, her smooth edges when it comes to other people. She is firm when she needs to be and generous when the situation calls for it. She will be an amazing queen soon. I know she is. I know when she is, things will change. I finished my breakfast. My thoughts turned to so much to my mother that I don't realize my grandfather and father are up and leaving the room until grandmother nudges my arm. I stumble to my feet and follow. Our footsteps are silent on the gray marble floor as we walk down the hall towards the throne room. Whatever the king's announcement is, he must be planning to do it early rather than making us wait, which I am grateful for, since my patience is something I need to work on. The room is already packed with other subjects. A few are in their lesser human forms, but most are in their true forms. Some have dark onyx flesh with spikes on their shoulders and arms that are sharpened to tiny daggers. Others have red scales like snakes that provide a greater defense than the rest of our kind. Together, these demons are a lethal force, which is why they often become trained to be warriors. Grandfather sits on his throne. My father sits on the smaller one beside him. I pause at the bottom of the dais and wait. Grandmother walks past me and positions herself in her spot. My mother walks in last. But before she can step onto the platform, my grandfather casts her a sharp look. Roxy, you have been found guilty of treason. My mother freezes, and the room stills. The punishment for treason is death. Every muscle in my body tenses. Death? Grandfather wouldn't have her killed. This must be a mistake. Mother's loyalty to the crown. She's loyal to the kingdom more than anyone I know. Voices behind me all begin to speak at once, but I cannot make out a single word. The blood freezes in my veins. Silence, the king commands. The speaking stops instantly. I hold my breath, waiting for him to continue. The silence is like a weight crushing my lungs, and I can't until I can't breathe. For my two grandchild's sakes, I am listening to punishment, to banishment. Treason. My mother's back is straight, but her voice calm. What crime did I commit that is treason? Sorry. Propaganda. She tips her head, the confusion evident. What sort? You're misleading my grandson, sending him down a path that will get him killed. You are doing this on purpose and plan to do so with my granddaughter. You knowingly put the royal family into harm's way. If you continue the way you are going, you will get my grandchildren killed, and I will not allow it to go that far. You cannot try me for treason because I'm teaching my children how to have manners. I catch a waver in her voice as her confidence falters. Was this my fault? Was this because of what happened at breakfast? I glance at the guards. They don't seem surprised, but that doesn't mean anything. The guards go with anything the king says. But if this was because of my comments this morning, how did he have time to prepare all of this? Was there something else? How long has this been planned? And I am king. I can do whatever I want. He beckons two guards forward. Escort her to the outskirts of town. No. I rush for my mother, my heart pounding in my ears. Kyler. I freeze, a wave of ice rushing through my veins. The king turns his attention to me. Act like the future king you are. One of the guards pulls my sister from the sling. Tears slide down my mother's cheeks. I want to rush him. I want to tear him to shreds, but no one disobeys the king. We are all his servants. Family is no exception. He's just proven what he will do if we upset him. The comment about her being allowed to live because of my sister and I may have been a threat. If I don't behave, will he change the punishment to execution? Father, I plead, my begging eyes meeting his. Surely he's going to fight for her. He has more power than I do, and while he is not the king yet, my grandfather cannot lose him as the sole heir. My mother holds herself high. She doesn't fight them. Her gaze follows mine. Father opens his mouth. His eyes are narrowed into thin slits. For a brief moment, I think he will say something, but then he lowers his eyes. No. If father won't help, then I need to. Someone must protect her. I run for her once more. They cannot take her. I won't let them take her. The guard holding my sister grabs my arm. It's all right. Mom smiles at me as the two guards lead her out of the throne room. I love you, my little pineapple. And that is it.
Yay! And I'm so glad that we solved the mystery, you and I. Anybody who's wondering, you got to figure it out. Read the book, figure it out. That's fabulous. I wasn't expecting an emotional beginning to this story, because after all, it is about demons and abductions and some pretty, sinister things. So I'm super intrigued to read the rest of the book, because it's already starting in a place I didn't expect. So well done. So Kyler is a character who decided he was going to stand up and tell his story regardless of what you wanted to do.
Yep.
Are there any other characters in the periphery that may also follow suit?
I have one. He is a side character for the sequel to Double-Edged War, which I've read to you guys before.
Yeah.
That has decided that he very much likes to be the center of attention as well. And so I have been slowly tampering down his story and hoping my best I can prolong it slightly, since I've got a couple things I'm already working on. But he's
if he
definitely
can
pretty cool too.
see if he can encourage a little bit of restraint and patience.
Yes, he has slightly more patience than Kyler, so I might get lucky.
Excellent. So what is the next project that you're working on?
So I am working on Where Will You Go, which is the novel that has Kyler as the side character. I'm working on There, which is the sequel to my book Mine, which hopefully I'll be back in a little while to read to you guys for that one.
Awesome.
And then once I get one of those done, I'll be working on Kyler's actual novel, which is when fear comes. So
How extraordinary. You're almost as busy as I am. Super fun. When All Else Fears is out now, right?
yep, yep,
Awesome. So people can go find it, and
yep,
where I know that they can go to your website to learn more, but are you also available on Amazon as well?
yes, yes, I am.
Excellent. Perfect. So we can find it just about anywhere.
Oh yeah, yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the program and reading aloud to me again. I always enjoy having you on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
All right. We'll see you next time the new book comes out.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Have a nice, great.
You too.